The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Book Number 2. Chapter 1. My best friend shops for a wedding dress. My nightmare started like this. I was standing on a deserted street on some little beach town. It was the middle of the night, and a storm was blowing. Wind and rain ripped the palm trees along the sidewalk. Pink and yellow stucco buildings lined the street, the windows boarded up. A block away, past a line of viscous bushes, the ocean churned. Florida, I thought, though I wasn't sure how I knew that. I'd never been to Florida. Then I heard hooves clattering against the pavement. I turned and saw my friend Grover running for his life. Yeah, I said hooves. Grover's a satire. From the waist up, he looks like a typical gangly teenager with peach fuzz goatee and a bad case of acne. He walks with a strange limp, but unless you happen to catch him without his pants on, which I don't recommend, you'd never know there was anything unhuman about him. Baggy jeans and fake feet hide the fact that he's got furry hindquarters and hooves. Grover had been my best friend since 6th grade. He'd gone on this adventure with me and a girl named Annabeth to save the world, but I hadn't seen him since last July when he set off alone on a dangerous quest, a quest no satyr had ever returned from. Anyway, in my dream, Grover was hauling goat tail, holding his human shoes in his hands the way he does when he needs to move really fast. He clopped past little tourist shops and surfboard rental places. The wind bent the palm trees almost to the ground. Grover was terrified of something behind him. He must have come from the beach. Wet sand was caked in his fur. He'd escaped from somewhere. He was trying to get away from something. A bone-rattling growl cut through the storm. Behind Grover at the far end of the block, a shadowy figure loomed. It swatted aside a street lamp and burst in a shower of sparks. Grover stumbled, whimpering in fear. He muttered to himself, "I have to get away. Have to warn them." I couldn't see what was chasing him, but I could hear it muttering and cursing. The ground shook as it got closer. Grover dashed around a street corner and faltered. He'd run into a dead-end courtyard full of shops. No time to back up. The nearest door had been blown open by the storm. The sign above the darkened display window read, "St. Augustine Bridal Boutique." Grover dashed inside. He dove behind a rack of wedding dresses. The monster's shadow passed in front of the shop. I could smell the thing. A sickening combination of wet sheep wool and rotted meat, and that weird sour body odor that only monsters have, like a skunk that's been living off Mexican food. Grover trembled behind the wedding dresses. The monster's shadow passed on. Silence except the rain. Grover took in a deep breath. Maybe the thing was gone. Then lightning flashed. The entire front of the store exploded, and a monstrous voice bellowed, "Mine!" I sat bolt upright, shivering in my bed. There was no storm, no monster. Morning sunlight filtered in through my bedroom window. I thought I saw a shadow flicker across the glass, a human-like shape. But then there was a knock on my bedroom door. My mom called, "Percy, you're gonna be late!" And the shadow at the window disappeared. It must have been my imagination. A fifth-story window with a rickety old fire escape. There couldn't have been anybody out there. "Come on, dear," my mother called. "Last day of school, you should be excited. You've almost made it." "I'm coming," I managed. I felt under my pillow. My fingers closed reassuringly around the ballpoint pen I always slept with. I brought it out, studied the ancient Greek writing on the engraved side. Anaklumus, Riptide. I thought about uncapping it, but something held me back. I hadn't used Riptide for so long. Besides, my mom had made me promise not to use deadly weapons in the apartment after I'd swung a javelin the wrong way and taken out the china cabinet. I put Anaklumus on my nightstand and dragged myself out of bed. I got dressed as quickly as I could. I tried not to think about my nightmare, or monsters, or the shadow at my window. Have to get away. Have to warn them. What had Grover meant? I made a three-fingered claw over my heart and pushed outward. The ancient gesture that Grover had once taught me for warding off evil. The dream couldn't have been real. Last day of school. My mom was right. I should have been excited. For the first time in my life, I'd almost made it an entire year without getting expelled. No weird accidents. No fights in the classroom. No teachers turning into monsters and trying to kill me with poisoned cafeteria food or exploding homework. Tomorrow, I'd be on my way to my favorite place in the world, Camp Half-Blood. Only one more day to go. Surely even I couldn't mess that up. As usual, I didn't have a clue how wrong I was. My mom made blue waffles and blue eggs for breakfast. She's funny that way, celebrating special occasions with blue food. I think it's her way of saying that anything is possible. Percy can pass 7th grade. Waffles can be blue. Little miracles can be done like that. I ate at the kitchen table with my mom. Then she got up and washed the dishes. She was dressed in her work uniform, a starry blue skirt and a red and white striped blouse that she wore to sell candy at the Sweet in America. Her long brown hair was pulled back into a ponytail.